The arrogant fleet commander Vex stood proudly on the bridge of his flagship, the Stellar Dominator, watching as 9,900 warships of the Zephyrian Empire materialized from hyperspace. The sight filled him with satisfaction. Never before had such a massive fleet been assembled for a single conquest. Each vessel bristled with plasma cannons capable of melting through titanium like butter, and their energy shields could withstand the force of a dying star. The bridge hummed with activity as his officers worked at their stations. Navigation Officer Crix plotted their course toward the third planet of this unremarkable system. Communications Specialist Yara monitored fleet-wide channels. Weapons Officer Thane ran final diagnostics on their devastating arsenal. Every member of the crew had participated in at least 5 previous conquests, and none had ever known defeat. "Status report," Vex commanded, his 6 eyes scanning the tactical displays that showed the human settlements spread across their pathetic 7-star systems. "Lieutenant," Commander Zara approached from the intelligence station, her crystalline skin reflecting the blue glow of the navigation panels. "Sir, our deep space reconnaissance confirms the target species remains exactly as predicted. The humans have minimal defensive capabilities, scattered colonies, and their largest military installation orbits their homeworld." Vex nodded, his massive frame casting shadows across the bridge. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 43 species over the past millennium, each victory more decisive than the last. They had perfected the art of galactic domination through superior technology and overwhelming force. This human conquest would be no different. What about their fleet strength? He asked, though he already knew the answer would be disappointing. "Approximately 400 ships at most," Zara replied, checking her data crystal. "Our intelligence indicates they use primitive kinetic weapons, solid projectiles fired from metal tubes. No energy shields, no plasma technology, and their fastest vessels achieve barely 30% of our minimum cruising speed." A ripple of laughter passed through the bridge crew. The youngest officer, Ensign Mox, raised his hand hesitantly. "Commander, permission to ask a question?" Vex gestured for him to proceed. "Our previous conquests involved species with at least basic energy weapons. These humans seem even more primitive than the Keltorians, who at least had rudimentary plasma. Rifles. Why deploy our entire fleet against such a weak opponent?" Vex's expression hardened. "Because High Command has decreed it. The humans occupy systems rich in quantum crystals essential for our expansion. More importantly, they block our path to the Andromedan Federation. We cannot risk leaving potential threats behind our lines." The commander moved to his central throne, commanding immediate attention from every crew member. "Besides, High Command wishes to demonstrate our power. If we can annihilate an entire species with absolute overwhelming force, other civilizations will surrender without resistance. This display will save us time and resources in future campaigns." Zara returned to her station and began coordinating with other fleet commanders. Through the communication system, hundreds of voices reported readiness status. Battle cruiser captains confirmed weapon systems were charged and operational. Troop transport commanders reported their invasion forces were prepared for planetary assault. Support vessels indicated full shield power and active repair capabilities. "All ships report combat ready," Zara announced. "Our advanced scouts have mapped human patrol routes and defensive positions. First engagement should commence within 8 hours." Vex activated the fleet-wide communication system, his voice carrying to every one of the 9,900 vessels. "Warriors of the Zephyrian Empire, today we add another species to our conquest record. The humans have lived in ignorance of our superiority for too long. They will learn what happens to those who dare occupy space that rightfully belongs to us. Show them no mercy, for they would show none to us." The response thundered across the fleet. Millions of Zephyrian warriors roared their approval, their battle cries echoing through space itself. This was their moment of destiny, their chance to prove their racial superiority over another inferior species. As the fleet advanced deeper into human space, first contact came sooner than expected. 5 small human patrol vessels appeared on their sensor perimeter, tiny specks against the cosmic void. The human ships were so primitive that Zephyrian sensors initially classified them as space debris. "Shall we attempt communication?" asked Yara. "No," Vex replied coldly. "Let them witness true power." The lead battle cruiser opened fire with plasma cannons. Brilliant energy streams lanced across space, striking the first human vessel. The ship exploded instantly, its hull offering no protection against weapons designed to pierce reinforced battle armor. The second ship attempted to flee, but Zephyrian fighters intercepted it within moments, reducing it to scattered fragments. The remaining vessels tried to transmit warnings before they too were obliterated. "Pathetic," muttered Thane, watching debris drift through space. "They didn't even return fire." "Because they couldn't," Ensign Mox observed. "Their weapons, probably, couldn't scratch our shields." The fleet continued its advance, encountering more human patrols over the following hours. Each engagement ended identically, with complete destruction of human vessels, without a single Zephyrian casualty. Vex began wondering if High Command had perhaps overestimated the humans' potential threat level. "Commander," called Crix from navigation, "we're approaching the outer edge of the human home system. Long-range sensors detect increased activity around the inner planets." Vex studied the tactical display, noting human colony positions and defensive installations. Everything appeared exactly as intelligence had predicted. A few orbital platforms around the third planet, some mining stations scattered through the asteroid belt, and a handful of transport ships moving between worlds. It looked like a civilization that had barely expanded beyond its birth system. "Begin." "Final approach," he commanded. "All ships to battle stations. We'll eliminate their outer defenses first, then proceed to the planet." The Zephyrian fleet spread into attack formation, their ships moving with deadly precision. Battle cruisers took the lead, heavy weapons ready to blast through any resistance. Fighter squadrons deployed in protective screens around larger vessels. Troop transports moved to the rear, ready to deploy ground forces once orbital resistance was eliminated. As they passed the system's outer gas giant, something appeared on long-range sensors. It made Crix pause. "Commander, I'm detecting unusual readings from the asteroid belt." "What kind of readings?" Vex demanded. "I'm not certain," Crix replied, adjusting his instruments. "The asteroids appear to be moving in coordinated patterns, but that's impossible. They're just rocks." Thane joined Crix at the sensor station, studying the displays with growing confusion. The sensor data indicates artificial structures within the asteroid field, but our intelligence reported only basic mining operations there. Vex felt his first stirring of unease. In 43 previous conquests, no enemy had ever surprised them. Every species they had encountered was predictable, their technology and tactics easily understood and countered. But something about these sensor readings felt different. "Continue the advance," he ordered, though his voice carried less confidence than before. "Increase sensor sweeps. I want to know what we're dealing with." The massive Zephyrian fleet moved deeper into the human system, unaware that every ship movement, every communication, every tactical decision was being carefully monitored and recorded. In the asteroid belt ahead, ancient human installations awakened from 50 years of dormancy, their crews preparing for the battle they had trained for their entire lives. Deep within asteroid designation Sierra 7, Captain Maria Santos pressed, her palm against the biometric scanner. Massive blast doors rumbled open, revealing a command center carved directly into the asteroid's heart. The walls were lined with displays showing every corner of the solar system, manned by technicians. whose faces glowed blue in the light of tactical screens that had waited decades for this moment. "Status report," she said, moving to the central command platform where General Harrison waited. The veteran officer's weathered face showed no emotion as he watched the approaching alien fleet on the main display. "A Zephyrian fleet has entered the outer system," Harrison replied steadily. 9,900 ships, exactly as our deep space monitoring predicted. They're maintaining standard attack formation, with battle cruisers leading and fighter screens deployed. They have no idea what they're flying into. Santos took her position at the tactical station, surrounded by staff who had spent their careers preparing for this moment. These men and women had studied every piece of information about the Zephyrian Empire, learning their tactics, technology, and most importantly, their weaknesses. Perimeter sensors confirm they've destroyed 23 patrol ships, reported Commander Phillips from communications. All vessels transmitted final data bursts before destruction. The aliens are using standard plasma weapons, predictable, energy shield configurations, and conventional attack patterns. Nothing we haven't anticipated, asterisk. "Excellent," Harrison said. "Let them believe we're helpless. The longer they maintain that assumption, the deeper into our trap they'll venture." Dr. Sarah Chun approached from the research section, carrying data crystals filled with technical specifications. Her team had worked for decades to understand alien technology, ever since the first Zephyrian transmission was intercepted by deep space monitoring stations 50 years ago. "General, all countermeasures are active," she reported. "We've identified 21 different methods to disrupt their energy shields and 57 ways to turn their own weapons against them." The main display showed the alien fleet approaching steadily, their ships spread across millions of kilometers. To any observer, it would appear as an unstoppable force advancing against a helpless enemy. But Harrison knew better. Every asteroid they passed, every piece of seemingly empty space, every fragment of drifting debris was part of humanity's greatest military achievement. "Initiate Protocol Alpha," Harrison commanded. "All stations report ready status." Across the asteroid belt, hundreds of hidden installations came online. Asteroids that had drifted peacefully for centuries suddenly revealed their true nature, their surfaces sliding away to expose weapon systems that had waited in darkness. Mining stations that appeared abandoned began powering fusion reactors, dormant for decades. Even the smallest debris fragments revealed themselves as sophisticated sensor platforms and communication relays. "Station 1 reports, weapons armed and ready," came the first report. "Station 2 confirms targeting systems." Online followed another. "Station 3 requests permission to engage." Santos watched the reports flow in, each representing years of preparation and engineering. Humanity had studied every lesson from previous alien invasions of other species, applying them to their own defense. They had analyzed Zephyrian tactics, technology, and psychology, building their entire strategy around exploiting every weakness they could identify. "Remember," Harrison announced over the fleet communication system, "we're not just defending our home. We're sending a message to the galaxy. Any species that considers humanity easy prey will learn otherwise today." The Zephyrian fleet continued its advance, now only hours from entering the asteroid field. Their sensors swept continuously, but human installations remained invisible, their camouflage technology perfected over decades of development. The aliens saw only what humans wanted them to see, a sparse collection of rocks and abandoned mining equipment. "General," called Lieutenant Davis from tracking, "lead elements of the alien fleet are approaching the outer marker. They're maintaining formation and speed with no indication they suspect anything." Harrison smiled grimly. "Then it's time to welcome them to our neighborhood." The first surprise came when the Zephyrian fleet reached coordinates they had identified as human mining stations. Their sensors detected multiple structures, But when they moved to investigate, the buildings simply weren't there. Instead, space. Around them erupted in explosions as hidden weapon platforms revealed themselves. "Contact!" shouted Phillips. "Alien ships are taking fire from automated defense systems. They're reporting multiple casualties." Santos watched red icons begin disappearing from the alien formation on her tactical display. The Zephyrians had walked directly into the first layer of humanity's defensive grid, a network of weapon platforms. So well concealed they remained invisible until opening fire. Each platform was designed to fire once and self-destruct, ensuring the aliens couldn't locate and neutralize them. "Phase 2 activation," Harrison ordered. "All mobile units, begin." Approach. Across the asteroid belt, what appeared to be ordinary rocks began moving. These weren't natural asteroids, but carefully constructed weapons platforms covered with genuine rock and ice to mask their true nature. Each carried enough firepower to destroy a Zephyrian battlecruiser, and there were thousands of them. Alien fleet found itself under attack from every direction. Weapons fire erupted from asteroids that had seemed lifeless moments before. Missiles launched from hidden silos carved into the rocks themselves. Most terrifying of all, the space around them seemed to come alive with threats materializing from nowhere. "They're adapting," Davis reported. "The aliens are changing formation and increasing shield power. They're trying to fight through the field." "Let them," Harrison replied. "The deeper they go, the more dangerous it becomes." The Zephyrian fleet, now reduced to fewer than 8,000 ships, pressed forward into the asteroid field. Their commanders had recognized the threat and were attempting to blast through using superior firepower to clear a path. But for every weapon platform they destroyed, 2 more revealed themselves. For every asteroid they blasted apart, another moved to take its place. "Phase 3 preparation," Harrison announced. "All ships prepare for mobile engagement. It's time to show them what human engineering can really accomplish." Asterisk the Hunters, become the hunted Commander Vex, stared at his tactical display in disbelief as another wing of his fleet disappeared in brilliant explosions. The asteroids that had seemed so harmless were revealing themselves as the most sophisticated weapons platforms he had ever encountered. His proud armada of 9,900 ships was being systematically destroyed by an enemy he had dismissed as primitive. "Report," he demanded, his voice cracking with panic for the first time in his military career. "We've lost over 5,000 ships, sir, Lieutenant." Commander Zara replied, her crystalline skin now dim with fear. "The humans have turned their entire asteroid belt into a defensive network. Every rock, every piece of debris, every abandoned station is attacking us. Our sensors can't distinguish between natural asteroids and weapons platforms until they open fire." Thane studied the sensor readings, trying to understand the tactical situation. "Commander, these aren't random attacks. The humans are coordinating strikes with precision timing. They're hitting us during our shield rotation cycles, targeting our communication arrays first, and our weapons systems." "Impossible," Vex snapped. "They're a primitive species with basic technology. They can't coordinate an attack of this magnitude." But even as he spoke, evidence mounted against his words. Human attacks were perfectly timed, striking exactly when Zephyrian shields were weakest. Their weapons seemed designed specifically to exploit vulnerabilities in Zephyrian technology. Most disturbing of all, they appeared to predict exactly where each alien ship would be before it arrived. Deep within asteroid Sierra 7, Dr. Sarah Chun monitored the battle from her laboratory. Banks of computers processed incoming data streams, analyzing every aspect of alien technology as it was revealed in combat. Her team had spent decades preparing for this moment, and their planning was exceeding their wildest expectations. "The alien shield generators operate on rotating frequencies," she reported to General Harrison. They change defensive harmonics every 45 seconds to prevent sustained attacks. But there's a 3-second gap during transition where they're completely vulnerable. Understood, Harrison replied. All weapon platforms adjust firing patterns to match shield rotation cycles. Target the transition gaps. Across the asteroid belt, hundreds of hidden gun batteries received updated targeting information. When? The next wave of Zephyrian ships entered firing range. Human weapons waited for the precise moment when alien shields flickered during frequency changes. The results were devastating. Ship after ship exploded as human projectiles found their marks. During those brief vulnerability windows, Colonel Marcus Webb piloted his stealth fighter through the chaos, his ship weaving between massive alien vessels like a predator hunting. Giants. Human fighters were smaller and less armored than their alien counterparts, but they were faster, more maneuverable, and flown by pilots who understood three-dimensional warfare in ways the aliens never imagined. Raptor Squadron, form. On my position, he commanded. We're trying something new. His 12-ship squadron accelerated toward a Zephyrian battlecruiser, their approach vectors calculated to avoid defensive weapons. Instead of attacking the heavily shielded hull, they targeted external sensor arrays and communication equipment. Within minutes, the massive alien vessel was blind and deaf, unable to coordinate with its fleet. All squadrons repeat Raptor maneuver, came the order from Fleet Command. Blind them before you kill them. Across the battlefield, human fighters swarmed alien vessels like insects attacking giants. They couldn't match the raw firepower of Zephyrian ships, but they didn't need to. Instead, they used speed and precision to cripple the aliens' ability to fight effectively. Sensor arrays were destroyed, communication equipment targeted, and weapon systems disabled with surgical precision. Asterisk. Fleet Captain Dronix commanded one of the few remaining Zephyrian battle groups, his ships limping through the asteroid field under constant attack. His vessel had lost most external sensors and was operating on backup power after a human torpedo somehow penetrated his shields and detonated inside the engine compartment. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving distress signals from 42 different ships. They're requesting immediate evacuation. Our casualties are approaching 70%. Dronix felt something he had never experienced in decades of military service. Genuine terror. The Zephyrian Empire had built its reputation on overwhelming technological superiority, but these humans were demonstrating that intelligence and preparation could overcome raw power. They weren't just defending their system. They were systematically destroying the greatest military force in galactic history. All ships form defensive circles, he ordered. Concentrate shields and prepare for coordinated withdrawal. We need to escape this death trap. But the moment his ships began grouping together, the asteroids around them revealed new weapon systems. Instead of the smaller guns and missile launchers they had been using, massive plasma cannons emerged from concealed positions. These weapons were clearly built using captured Zephyrian technology, but they had been modified in ways that made them more deadly than the originals. Captain Maria Santos watched the alien fleet's attempted withdrawal from her command post, feeling satisfaction mixed with grim determination. The first phase was proceeding exactly as planned, but she knew the hardest part was coming. The aliens were learning, adapting their tactics, trying to minimize losses. Soon they would realize their only hope was complete retreat from the system. General, she reported to Harrison, the fleet is attempting to regroup near the fourth planet. They're concentrating remaining forces for a coordinated push toward the system's edge. How many ships do they have left? Harrison asked. Approximately 2,500, sir. All damaged to some degree. Their communication systems are disrupted, sensor networks compromised, and morale appears broken. Harrison nodded grimly. Then it's time for Phase 4. Signal all mobile units to begin pursuit. Don't let them escape easily. Santos felt a chill as she transmitted the order. Phase 4 was the most dangerous part of their strategy, when humanity's hidden fleet would reveal itself and begin active pursuit of retreating aliens. It was also the phase most likely to result in heavy human casualties, as their ships would engage the enemy in open combat. Launch bays sealed for decades suddenly opened across the largest asteroids. Human warships emerged from hidden berths, carved into rock, vessels unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Their hulls were black as space itself, their weapon systems designed using a combination of human ingenuity and captured alien technology. The human fleet was smaller than the remaining Zephyrian force, numbering only 600 ships. But each vessel had been built for a specific purpose: to hunt down and destroy alien warships. Their crews were volunteers who had trained their entire lives for this mission, and their ships carried weapons designed to exploit every weakness in Zephyrian technology. All ships, this is Admiral Chun, came the voice over fleet communications. Today, we don't just defend our home. Today, we send a message to the galaxy. Any species that threatens humanity will face consequences. Begin the hunt. Commander Vex watched new contacts appear on his screen as the human fleet emerged from hiding. He had studied technical specifications of human technology, knowing their ships were inferior to Zephyrian vessels in almost every measurable way. But somehow, watching them approach, he felt more afraid than at any point during the battle. "Admiral," he said quietly to his superior, "I think we're about to discover what these humans are truly capable of." Admiral Kraft stared at the approaching human fleet, his mind struggling to process what he was seeing. Everything he had believed about human capabilities was being proven wrong. These weren't primitive, helpless creatures his intelligence had described. These were apex predators who had just revealed that the entire battle so far was merely the opening move in a much larger game. The human ships moved with deadly purpose, their formations perfect, their approach vectors calculated to maximum effect. They had studied every aspect of Zephyrian technology and tactics, and now they were applying that knowledge with devastating efficiency. "All ships," Krath commanded, his voice heavy with impending defeat, "prepare for final combat. We're about to learn why the humans have been so confident." The first human ship to engage was the destroyer Retribution, commanded by Captain Liu Wei. His vessel was 1/3 the size of the Zephyrian battlecruiser it targeted, but it carried weapons that had been specifically designed to penetrate alien shields. The engagement lasted exactly 47 seconds. When it ended, the massive alien warship was drifting debris, and the Retribution was already moving toward its next target. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out as human ships demonstrated their technological superiority. They moved faster than the aliens had thought possible, struck harder than their size suggested, and coordinated their attacks with precision that seemed almost supernatural. The Zephyrian fleet, once the pride of a galactic empire, found itself being hunted by an enemy that had turned warfare into an art form. Their superior numbers meant nothing when human ships could outmaneuver them. Their advanced shields were useless when human weapons were designed to bypass them. Their plasma cannons couldn't hit targets that seemed to anticipate their firing. Patterns dot as the hours passed. The alien fleet continued to shrink. Ships that had participated in dozens of conquests were reduced to wreckage by human vessels they had never seen coming. The survivors began to realize they were witnessing the emergence of a new galactic power, one that would not be conquered or intimidated. When the battle finally ended, only 17 Zephyrian ships remained operational. They were allowed to escape, but not before each had been marked with a special transponder signal that would identify them to any civilization they encountered. The galaxy would know exactly what had happened in this system, and more importantly, They would know that humanity was no longer prey. Commander Vex sat in his damaged command chair, staring at the tactical display that showed the wreckage of his once mighty fleet. Around him, his surviving crew members worked to maintain life support while their ship limped toward the edge of the system. The humans had let them go, but not out of mercy. They wanted survivors to carry the message. Back to the Zephyrian Empire dot, as his ship finally entered hyperspace, Vex realized that everything had changed. The galaxy had a new apex predator, and its name was humanity. The age of easy conquests was over. From now on, any species that threatened Earth would learn why 9,900 ships had entered this system, but only 17 had lived to tell the tale. Message would spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Humanity was no longer hiding among the stars. They had announced themselves as a force that would reshape the balance of power in the universe. And they had done it by turning what should have been their darkest hour into their greatest victory dot in the depths of space. The wreckage of the Zephyrian fleet served as a monument to human ingenuity, determination, and the price of underestimating a species that refused to surrender. The invasion had ended, but the legend of humanity's first contact with a hostile alien empire would echo through the galaxy for generations to come.